レバー引いたらここについた
The land of the rising sun has given us fiery pop culture juggernauts like manga, anime, mecha, Japanese cyberpunk, and much more. But Japanese sci-fi is where it all began, while Godzilla, or Gojira if you're in Japan, stands as the most iconic Japanese sci-fi ever. There are shiploads of other binge-worthy movies out there. Some have garnered an international following, while others have faded into the pages of history. Although Japanese cinema has often been charged with ripping off American movie, Japanese sci-fi has always been different. They have original concepts, imagery, and storytelling, with charming cultural undertone. Movies like Ishiro Honda's Mysterion, Bur City, with its intense punk vibe, and raging comedies like Summertime Machine Blue, that are so akin to real life that you are left wondering if it's happening next door. Japan's underrated sci-fi jewels are out-and-out entertainment. Thankfully, in today's tech-driven age, we have the facility of English dubs, which wasn't always the case. So, let us go on and check out the 8 most underrated Japanese sci-fi movies of all time that have got to be on your to-do list. Let us begin with some context, where Japanese sci-fi is coming from, and how it became the hotbed of cinematic art. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Oh.
The birth of Japanese sci-fi. As we embarked upon the digital age, around the 1980s, science fiction went from colorful and upbeat to a darker, colder place. But Japanese sci-fi always presents a ray of light, even in its darkest shade. Japanese sci-fi is a unique blend of traditional grit under a futuristic skin. The stories are relevant to humanity today, but always pop with cultural touches of Japanese art. Japanese cinema had a tough road to international recognition. Though Japanese sci-fi dates back to the 50s, we had to wait until the VHS boom of the 80s and the rise of boutique distributors for foreign film for Japanese sci-fi to get their due. The scars of cultural and political history were evident in the older film. The Yellow Peril, a term coined by the Russian socialist Jacques Navakov to portray East Asians as an occult that was a threat to the Western world, shows how wary the West was of anything Japanese back in the day. And if you throw in Japan's aggressive role in World War II, the few doors that had remained open to Japanese art were also slammed shut. Ironically, the post-WW2 American soldiers in Japan aided the rise of Western-style science fiction in Japan. The Western genre intermingled with Japanese original works to create a new era of Japanese sci-fi, which was just incredible. Shedding the bleak themes of the past, Japanese sci-fi began to come into its own. There was still an extended wait for the digital era to come around so Japanese sci-fi could fully spread its wings. Thankfully, that wait is long over. We are now in the booming digital tech landscape of the 2020, the stepping stone of AI, an age where we can handpick content from all over the world. So let us get into 8 Japanese sci-fi gems that all come with English dubs or sub. Bur City, 1982, a punk phenomenon and a revolutionary counterculture film with the shakiest shaky cam you can possibly imagine. Bur City is a Japanese cult classic. The story takes place in a dystopian society where a bunch of punk rock bands, bikers, and construction workers come together to fight the police over a power plant construction row. The climax is a vision of mad, chaotic hordes of violence to a punk background score. Electric, screaming, and frantic are some of the words I could use to describe this insane drama. It was directed by the incredible Gakuriyu Ishii, who has been cited as an influence by plenty of filmmakers, including Quentin Tarantino. Together with Ishii's earlier film, Crazy Thunder Road, Bur City changed the scope of independent filmmaking in Japan and chalked out the blueprint for the cyberpunk era to follow. Bur City was a huge influence on the next generation of independent filmmakers for its unique imagery, camera work, and candid take on Japan's socio-economic issues that come across seamlessly through a bristling narrative. Returner, 2002. What comes to your mind when I say, going back in time to save the future? Terminator? Of course it does. But in 2002, there was another action spectacle called Returner, and it was all the fast-paced, razor-edged fun that one craves. The plot takes Millie, a young woman from the future, to travel back to 2002 to stop an alien invasion that will annihilate Earth. She coerces a gunrunner, Miyamoto, to help her on the mission. Together they uncover who was really to blame for taking the world to the brink. FYI, it was not the aliens. Returner was inspired by The Matrix, Leon, and Mission Impossible, and feels like a blend of all three. The CG is decent, Some of it does resemble The Matrix, but it aids Returner's narrative, and the movie never feels like a blatant copycat that is riding the wave created by its predecessor. Directed by Takashi Yamazaki, Returner stars Takeshi Kaneshiro as the gunrunner turned hero, Miyamoto, and Ann Suzuki as the springy future return, Millie. Goro Kishitani, who plays the evil mobster, Mizuguchi, legit reminds one of Gary Oldman in Leon. Anyone up for great action sequences, assassins for hire, saving the world plots, all stirred into a science fiction pot, will love Returner. Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, 2020. Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes is a ludicrous comedy about a TV that shows a person looking into its screen 2 minutes into the future. Now, what could happen in a mere 2 minutes, right? As it turns out, a hell of a lot. When a cafe owner, Kato, discovers this TV time machine thingy and his geeky friends get involved, the whole thing turns into quirky footage of simple characters playing with something fully out of their league. It makes for the most natural humor. While there is a bit of going back and forth between the past and the future, the more complex the plot becomes, the funnier it all gets, bolstered with all-around excellent performances. The movie never drops the ball on being thoroughly entertaining. The best part is that the director, Junta Yamaguchi, has achieved this debut wonder of his at a shoestring budget that obviously wasn't going to buy him any heavy time-space continuum or catastrophes of messing with time-type fireworks. But Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes doesn't miss a beat, as it is a beautifully unique film. What's more, the film appears to be put together in one seamless take. Now, if you've ever seen any behind-the-scenes video, you know how insane it is to achieve all that movement at one length, without any scene cuts. If there were any cuts in the film reel, they were so well done. I couldn't make them out at all. Kato, the alpha geek of the film, is portrayed with sheer, unassuming brilliance by Kazunari Tosa. Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes is a cinematic joy and a rib tickle. Simply a must-watch if you love lighthearted situational comedy with unusual concepts. Battle Royale 1 and 2, 2000, 2003. Battle Royale is Hunger Games plus 4 extra courses of gore. This 2000 Kinji Fukasaku film is a cold-blooded high schooler's action drama. The Battle Royale program is basically a game pitting a group of 9th graders in a fight to death against each other. These kids, strapped with an explosive device around their necks, are released on an island where they must fight each other until there is only one of them left standing. The story explores the limits of human resolve in the middle of savagery and chaos. Friendships shatter, survival instincts take over, and individual character is tested. Battle Royale appears to be the revenge of the adults against the growing disrespect among the youth. And if we sit down and think about that for a second, it feels like a massive overreaction from the fictional authoritarian government against the kid. But it is all fiction, and the movie pulls it off in a strangely fun way. So no point dwelling on that. Battle Royale 2, Requiem, was directed by Kenta Fukasaku, Kinji's son. As Kinji tragically passed on while the film was in production, Kenta, who had co-written both Battle Royale 1 and 2, sought to finish what his father had started. However, the pacing and adventure dip in the second installment, which focuses more on political message. The altered themes add several layers of seriousness to the story, which may not necessarily work for a viewer expecting a sequel along the lines of the first. Before We Vanish, 2017, the Daily Beast called it the most effed up movie of the year, and they meant it in the best of ways. This Kiyoshi Kurosawa film that premiered at the 2017 Cannes Film Festival follows 3 alien scouts who inhabit human bodies as a prep for a full-scale invasion of Earth. With their superior psychic powers, they steal key emotions and concepts from people's minds to learn about humankind. The movie's themes of invasion, looming servitude, and doomsday anxiety have been the premise of many films. However, Before We Vanish has been refitted with edgy, in-your-face violence and unpredictable relationships with almost rom-com type moments between the aliens and their closest human acquaintances, though it is often compared to John Carpenter's Starman because it ends on a love conquers all note. Before We Vanish is an individual sci-fi gem. Though it was criticized for dragging on a bit at a 130-minute runtime, its unique plot makes it well worth the time. End to end, it's an absorbing ride you'll find hard to get out of your mind. The Mysterions, 1957. If you have the facility to adjust your 2020's modern lenses enough to enjoy old film, The Mysterions is a sci-fi of epic proportion, a giant robot mobilized by an alien race. The Mysterions destroys a village. The Mysterions demand land and Earth's women to breed with from the humans. Japan quickly dismisses these demands and plans a counteroffensive. Other nations join in, and it becomes a great united Earth front against the alien. Ishiro Honda directed The Mysterion with the noble thought of showcasing a world without the Cold War's bipolar notions of East versus West. He felt the world should be unified in their quest instead of internally squabbling like a bunch of worn-out married couples. and we agree with them wholeheartedly. Unfortunately, the way things are today, 65 years on since this film, it feels as though it might actually take a hostile alien takeover to unite us. The Mysterions is a fun monster movie that even kids will enjoy. Its dated aesthetic will make you take it only half seriously, which is just as well. The movie is full of heart. Ryoichi Shiraishi, the forever doomed hero, played by Akihito Harada, goes full-out kamikaze in the climax, ripping through the alien base. The militaristic, pulsating background score by Akira Ifukube will surely get you in the feels for the good versus evil fight. The Mysterions is a certified Japanese sci-fi classic, second only to Godzilla. Latitude Zero, 1969. Another Ishiro Honda film, Latitude Zero, is a sci-fi tale that spends quite a lot of time underwater and dishes a decent serve of practical special effects that are, honestly, a tad extra on the cheap. Three guys are rescued by the submarine, Alpha's captain, Craig McKenzie, who takes them to Latitude Zero, an Elysian-type underwater city. This place is a fanciful world where people don't age, and the tech is super advanced. The main plot is about Dr. Malik, the bad guy from a rival submarine, kidnapping a brilliant Japanese physicist to help him destroy Latitude Zero. There's a big rescue mission involving all the main characters, and quite a few fight scenes therein. The action is nutty at best, with McKenzie keeping Malik's golden rubber-suited diver guards at bay with never-ending somersaults and his flame-spitting gloves. Yes, the film is a dated piece, with all sorts of ridiculous costumes, shiny gold diving suit, and creature costumes that look like they hollowed out a range of children's stuffed toys. But Captain McKenzie's outfit is my personal favorite. McKenzie, played by Joseph Cotton, dons the craziest shiny cleavage-popping shirt, accessorized with an ascot. I mean, you are bound to have a chuckle here and there. Well, I wouldn't blame the era for the bad costuming. I mean, the timeless film, 2001: A Space Odyssey, dropped the year before Latitude Zero, and the costumes in there could give today's stuff a run for their money. I reckon the design team allocated all that budget to Latitude Zero's practical effects: the miniature submarines, underwater city, elaborate sets, big explosion, and so on. Overall, the film has great nostalgic value. If you're ever into over-the-top old movies, this one is right up your alley.
Oh!
Summer Time Machine Blues, 2005. Summer Time Machine Blues is yet another time machine comedy, but unlike Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, this one never gets too complex and is outright warm and funny. Some regular college sci-fi club guys are sweating it out because one of them spilled Coke over the AC remote control, and now it won't work. Then out of nowhere, a time machine appeared, and their fortunes begin to change. The film is an extraordinary comedy devised with ordinary guys, as we follow the series of bad breaks that befall them by using the time machine. With some subtle sound effects, creative camera work, and well-placed fades to black, the director, Katsuyuki Motohiro, is able to build suspense and excitement way before the action rolls in. It's almost as though Motohiro had a moment of epiphany, realizing the time travel thing can never have all that realistic a plot, and he went to the complete flip side. So, he concocted a story as simple and fun as Candy Fog. A few guys who love to procrastinate, using a time machine not to save the world from evil machine, reckless human, or alien invasion, but to fix their air conditioner's remote. Don't get me wrong, I love those larger-than-life plots as much as the next guy, but you've got to admit that this off-the-wall experiment by Motohiro is refreshing and hilarious, even realistic to some degree. Marvelous verdict. Japanese sci-fi has always been a treasure trove of vivid concepts. Since the turn of the century, many screenplays have woven in comedy to produce an absolutely delightful new style. While Japanese sci-fi themes have overall been the product of their time, their unique takes in crafting their stories have earned them quite a fan following. I mean, it's no surprise that manga outsells traditional comics everywhere around the world, even in the US. As for sci-fi films, one thing is for sure. Japanese sci-fi films can literally do no wrong when it comes to the artistic comedies. They slay this genre every time, delicately disguising deeper philosophical messaging inside the goofy fluff of their sci-fi comedy. Okay, that's that from us. What did you think of our picks? Do you have an underrated fave that wasn't up there? Let us know in the comment. If you like this video, please smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Sayonara!